Thanks so much for coming on today. We have some breaking news as we are coming on with this special report from the Ishaan S show. If you've not heard yet, President Volodymyr Zelensky and President Donald Trump had a meeting in the Oval Office, which was quite the sight to be seen, and it was quite the disaster, that is what we're going to call it. I'm going to play the video for you right now. Take a look.
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you are not
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the President for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military?
We have problems.
And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know
bless.
That.
You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that. Remember this.
I'm not
you're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
You will feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. But right now, you don't. Yeah, you're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once?
A lot of times.
No, in this
even
entire
today,
meeting, you said thank
even
you.
Today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you can...
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave,
president.
but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have our military equipment, if you didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this.
Again,
I tell you.
just say thank you.
I said a lot of times to American people.
Except that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards. You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you'll get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
Complete and total disaster. The reaction we are getting right now from around the world about this meeting is beyond what what most of us could have ever thought of. But this happened exactly the way we could have expected a whole disaster like this. It was a bunch of bottled up feelings that we had between Donald Trump and his vice president, J.D. Vance, who had, practically speaking, let's call it that, emotional outbursts on live national, not even national, global television in the Oval Office. And it indicates the sheer unseriousness of this administration. And what we are seeing right now, obviously, as you could see in that clip, just in the truest sense, was a lack of restraint over emotion. And it was basically Trump blowing up at Zelensky because seemingly Zelensky's not thankful for support. This is also the same Donald Trump who is trying to force Zelensky into signing a deal that gives up their rare earth minerals in exchange for zero security guarantees. That's what we're dealing with right now. And so when Volodymyr Zelensky made the outrageous ask of having security guarantees so that Russia does not continue to invade, when he pointed out that Russia could not be trusted in a deal again, J.D. Vance obviously could not stand with something like that, and so had to speak up to defend Vladimir Putin, I guess, because saying that we can't trust Vladimir Putin anymore is somehow this outrageous thing to say. But no matter what, after that breakdown of negotiations, or even that meeting, the Volodymyr Zelensky was kicked out of the White House, as reported by Fox News. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz reportedly were the ones that went and told President Zelensky that he could not leave. I'm going to put up the statement from Truth Social that President Trump put out in the aftermath of all of this, suggesting, again, just full-on criticism of the president of Ukraine, an ally of ours, who is facing a war with Vladimir Putin at this point in the war, 3 years after the conflict, 3 years just this week, actually, where we have seen 400,000 Ukrainians die, some 700,000 Russians die in this whole conflict, and this has become such a trivial matter to the Trump administration, clearly. I want to point to some of the reaction that we are also getting out of this whole situation. I want to particularly start with Lindsey Graham, Senator Lindsey Graham, one of the biggest Russia defenders, Ukraine defenders in the Republican Party, who earlier this morning actually met with Zelensky with a bipartisan group of senators. They had a meeting that went well, per what we can suggest. But after this whole thing, I mean, there was even pictures posted with Lindsey Graham and bipartisan senators in them. They all were like saying great things. So Senator Lindsey Graham then had a new statement to make, essentially calling on Zelensky's removal. Here's a clip of that.
Applauds him for standing up to Trump. All I can say is a missed opportunity. He doesn't even begin to explain it. And Zelensky is either going to have to fundamentally change or go. I can't believe most Americans, after what they saw today, would want to be partners with Zelensky.
Senator Roger Wicker, I believe the Senate chairman of the Armed Services Committee, posted initially some comments praising Ukraine's president and saying nice things that apparently have been deleted since this whole public meltdown from the Trump administration. So again, just another example of how many people are bending the knee. But that's some of the reaction we are getting from Republicans. I want to talk about someone who might be popping the champagne tonight. And those are our friends over in the Kremlin right now, who are having a great time watching this whole thing. Because what happened in the Oval Office today was essentially what the Russians wanted. This is exactly what they want, a complete breakdown of America's alliance with Europe, with standing up to Putin. They were never for that. And so they're popping the champagne or the vodka or whatever it is they do out in Russia. So I think here's a statement from the Russian Foreign Ministry. I'm going to put it up for you there. Basically, they said, quote, how Trump and Vance restrained themselves and didn't hit this scumbag is a miracle of restraint. So in this whole thing, Vladimir Putin's Russian Foreign Ministry is taking the side of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance, while the rest of the world, because we're starting to get reactions from around the world, from Poland, from Sweden, from Spain, all of the leaders of these countries saying that they stand with Ukraine. So on one hand, we have them taking Ukraine's side, and on the other hand, we have Russia and Vladimir Putin taking Trump's side. Quite the statement. In fact, EU foreign policy chief even went as far as to say that the free world needs a new leader. The State Department and Department of Defense have cut aid to Ukraine in the hours since this whole debacle. And now the prospects of peace look a lot less clear. We don't know what things are going to look like. Obviously, these are some fast developing situations coming out of the White House in D.C. This is just a special edition of the Ishaan S Show. We'll have a lot more coverage tomorrow when we break down this story a lot more and go in more into depth about what exactly happened. But I just wanted to bring some of the more pertinent and some of the more breaking news aspects of what this is, because we are still covering breaking news here. So that is what happened at the White House. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you liked my commentary, then please subscribe. Tune in for tomorrow's full-length episode where I will go more in depth and talk a lot more about what is going on with this whole conflict and just the disastrous meeting that happened today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow.